Hey guys, Infidel1258 here. Tonight I want to share with you some thoughts around the best path with SPS. I saw a video this morning on January 9th on Aftersound's channel talking, among other things, about this great and interesting topic about whether or not, look, if you believe in SPS and you think there's a real opportunity for that token to appreciate in a meaningful way, you love Splinterlands, there's a couple paths to go. I mean, do you want to farm and create that SPS for yourself with land 1.5? Or does it make more sense to just go ahead and buy the plot of land? Aftersound has his thoughts. We're going to go through some of the numbers in this video. I'm going to speak to my thoughts on the topic, and yeah, we'll come to a conclusion here. But thanks, guys. And if you're new to my channel, my name is Dwayne Cunningham. I go by Infidel1258. You can call me 12. I like doing this sort of thing where I engage with your ideas. This is me listening to one of Aftersound's clips and getting this idea going. But you know, when you leave comments on the channel, I read them. So please go ahead and do that if you leave your IGN. And if I use that to create content, I'd love to send you a little thank you. Let's get into it. So superficially, there's two paths to think about. Like if you had $100 to spend and you wanted to go ahead and acquire SPS because you believe in the game, you like where the game's going, you see the future of this thing, you know, you can just buy the SPS. And maybe that's the best path. Because as I look at my land creation, I'll open it up now, my production, and I've got 23 plots of land, 19 of which are working, 4 of them not. So, you know, and those plots of land at the base, the cheapest of the cheap are commons. There are some common naturals, and those are going to be $40 plots of land. Like, I mean, 35, 40 bucks as we come over here into the Peak Monsters Marketplace, and we come in here to buy cards, we go buy land. Just looking at common, there are some ones down here in the $32 range. Now, those are not going to be in Gankland, and shout out to Gank. Gankland is definitely going to be better than the average tract region, because that ownership, that community, that's going to drive more attentiveness to things like ancient ruins, more attentiveness to the Secret of Praetoria. That's going to be a benefit to me as a holder within that space. You're going to have more participants farming and creating resources, probably trading amongst each other within the marketplace, and that'll be more desirable than some other random plots and tracks. Now, I don't know anything about Shadow Vale. This might end up being an amazing investment too, but I'm saying 40 bucks a plot of land for a common is kind of the bare what I would imagine for like a Gankland plot. Now, 32, even cheaper. Maybe I should buy that. Maybe that's a steal. But you have to know, and this is Aftersound's point, and I got to give kudos where kudos is due. You know, it's not just the cost of that, is it? Once you get a plot of land, what do you got to do? You activate that plot of land. And what does that look like? Well, let's go over to Baron's Toolbox, and we'll look up Infidel1258. If you don't know Baron's Toolbox, it's a great land management site. You can look anybody up, including yourself. Give a thank you to Axler Twinblade. If you're able and willing. But the visual aspect of the land is so much better with this. And as you see, you know, it's not just the land, is it? Even if you had a $32 plot of land, even if that was worth owning because that region, that plot was great, it's still extra cost, isn't it? It's cards that you have to stake onto the plot of land. There's DC that's required in order to allow them to do their thing. There's time associated with building the research hut or the grain farm or the shard mine. It's time, it's money, it's setup, it's oversight. There's investment on various levels, and it's not just the $32 or the $40 for the plot of land. The cards themselves, even if you're getting the cheapest of the cheap, I would imagine is going to be 40 bucks, 30 bucks. You know, yes, if you're just going the cheapest of the cheap, you could do one card for $8 and you know, probably going to need 10,000 DEC on the tract of land. But if you want to kind of fill it out in the most economical way, Aftersound was suggesting that you're probably looking at 100 bucks. And I think that makes a lot of sense. If you just said roughly $100 to activate a new plot of land, a common plot of land, in order to start seeing SPS, the revenue generation on that is not huge. It's not massive. I mean, every SPS token that I farm through my SPS farms is mine, and I will, you know, gladly stack it, and I'll enjoy the staking rewards on those. And I love that I have this long-term sustainable ingression of resources. I love that. I want a money tree, and this in some sense is. I've got my SPS coming in, I've got my grain coming in. The two are supporting one another, and so I am self-sufficient. And this is printing me SPS every day. But you know what else prints SPS? If you just own SPS. I mean, if you literally buy SPS off the marketplace and then go ahead and stake that, you know you're getting 13.27 APR from the game. Safe, secure. Not only that, you're going to generate more in-game rewards for your rank experience, and you're going to unlock probably more access to different events, because there are certain events that you need to have certain levels or thresholds of staked SPS in order to even enter. I can't show you one right now because the battle screen is up, but there are thresholds. In certain tournaments, you're going to need 25,000. In other tournaments, you're going to need 50 or 100. Some of the numbers are quite big, and if you don't have that stake, you can't participate. And these tournaments that I've been pointing out on the channel are ones I'm becoming more and more interested in. There's more and more opportunities here, so it's like I want to pay attention. I want to have access to those to that as well. So not only is operating a piece of land a financial cost to set up, time to set up, an ongoing cost for opportunity, because you're either putting the money here because it's presumably 50,000 DEC locked up in the plot of land, in addition to the cards themselves. Now, maybe the cards are okay, but maybe you don't have those cards. If you're buying new cards, or if you're using key critical cards that you would love to play in your ranked game or your tournaments or your guild brawls, and you're now putting them to work here, well, that's an opportunity cost to you. So there's a ton of different considerations. And he made the point, this is Aftersound's point, that truly you're better off to just buy the SPS. And I go, interesting. You know, I like that the plot of land is generating revenue. I like that it's this ongoing thing. I like that I'm getting ahead of the game. And I think SPS is one way of measuring that consideration. I think he's probably right. If your only concern is SPS, I think he's right. But if you look at land in a different way, maybe if you look at land in a different way, then I think he's maybe wrong. And here's the other side of that. If you aren't here just for SPS, if you do believe that land is going to suddenly at some point grow in a way that you're expecting, but you don't know when, that sort of multiplication that's possible, I think, with land might cause the picture to slightly change. This is point number one for countering what I think Aftersound's amazing point was. But I think he's right, unless these two criticisms are, they weigh heavy on you. So criticism number one towards his argument: you don't know when land's going to blow up. You don't know when the prices on these cards are going to go flying. And I know there's certain metrics you can measure. 20% of the plots of land are currently activated. You feel like maybe when it's 40, 50%, then you'll start seeing really dramatic price increases on land. Okay, that's logical. I would even say it's thoughtful, but it's far more complicated than that, isn't it? It's always the case that you think these prices are never going to move on whatever asset you're into, every crypto you're into, every token you're chasing, until it does. And then when it does, how often are you saying to yourself, oh, wow, I can't believe how quickly that moved up or down? How often have you said that in crypto? That is absolutely the case for crypto. That's absolutely the case for Splinterlands. And I think it will continue to be the case moving into the future. So do we know that these plots of land are going to stay in the 30 range, 40 range for a long time to come? It's an interesting suggestion, but we do not know. And it's absolutely the case that, whether it's ancient ruins, whether it's battle wagons, whether it's the new liquidity pools that come with land, whether it's the, there's just about 5 or 6 different things that are coming, maybe months away, to be fair, but within the relatively near future, that might change this picture dramatically. And I'm saying you do not know until it happens sometimes that the prices are going to go soaring. And could that mean you miss the boat altogether because you put off till tomorrow what you could do today? If these plots are $30 today, that's pretty reasonable, man. There will come a time when that's not the case, in my opinion. My confidence with Splinterlands tells me that there's going to come a time where these common plots are $300. That's my expectation for the future. Now, is that 5 years away, 5 months away? I don't know. And I cannot make any promises, don't, so, take that with a grain of salt. But I'm saying from my perspective, with my confidence for my money on my investment, that's the confidence I'm walking with. So, but I don't know the timing on that. And so while I agree, Aftersound's probably right. Look, if you got $100, you want SPS, just buy the SPS. You're going to get 3,000 SPS versus a few hundred, or a few dozen even, like a day. If you have one plot of land or a few plots of land, you're not going to get a crazy amount of SPS on a daily basis. I wanted to show you in my earnings. Let's skip the results here and then we'll go over and check it. There's 2 SPS on one rank battle, by the way. But if we come in here, we go into production. Across all my plots of land, of which 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of which are SPS, we're getting, let's go in here, harvest all. We're getting, and this is across, I think, 2 days, 30% capacity. I'm pretty sure that's 2 days worth of effort, roughly. And we're getting 591 SPS. Oh, that's research. 224 SPS across 2 days of effort. And across 7 plots of land that are producing SPS, each of which has, 45 to 35,000 DEC put into it, each of which has some very strong monsters that are being, allocated in this way and not used in the game. Some of which I would like to use, but I don't use. Again, if we go back to Axler's site, we can see which some of those are. But 224 SPS is not a lot of revenue from 7 plots of land. And if you look at some of these are just my SPS shard mine buildings. Look at some of these cards that are in here. I got a gold foil Immortalis. No, I think it's a level 1. I can't remember what level that is. It says at 5,500 points. I think it's only 1 BCX. But so it's not something I would use personally. But it is something I could probably rent for something. Gold foils are going to have some, even though it's Chaos Legion and there's lots of them, there would be some sort of utility there. I could sell it for, not a small amount of money. I could put it towards SPS itself, right? The picture, when you start recognizing if your only issue is SPS, you have to admit, you just buy it. But I'm saying point number 1 as a critique to that is you don't know when land is going to go flying. And the idea that you can just go ahead and wait till a future day to allocate your resources, to acquire your land, to get set up is presuming too much in my mind. I don't know when land's going to suddenly get double the price, triple the price, 10x the price, but I do think one day that'll happen. And I do think it'll surprise us all how quickly it happens once it starts. And then when it happens, even if you do get on quickly and you sort of activate because you start recognizing that movement transpiring, it's going to take you time to activate the land. And all of that picture to me means I'd rather be early than late. That's point number 1. I have one more point that I want to raise with respect to why I should buy land instead of just going ahead and buying SPS. Because I think it's not just a conversation about SPS. This is point number 2 that I want to push against Aftersound. And Aftersound, if you see this video, I'd love to see your response to this. It's not just how much SPS can I get out of land. I've seen Tales from the Cryptmancer make this point too. It's like, I see the critique of land seems to be, it doesn't give me nearly enough SPS to be financially viable. If I want to speculate on SPS, I'll just buy SPS. That seems to be a little bit of what I heard Aftersound saying. It seems to be what I feel I've heard Tales say. But here's the thing, is land just about SPS? And I want to say to you, I don't think it is. And maybe one of the most interesting question marks, and I have to admit it's a question mark. It's speculative. It's not, it's by no means proven. But if we start to look at what not the grain farms, but the research huts and the capacity to earn research, that is going to be meaningful, I think. And now I am so out on a limb in terms of I can't hold up to you what a value of these tokens would be. But I do really believe that the capacity to upgrade land resources into higher and higher levels of land resources, which will be restricted based on your research and your capacity and the progress within the Praetorius Secret, is going to matter meaningfully. And I think head starts on that is going to matter for 2 reasons. 1, there's opportunities for titles. Most of us aren't going to get access to those, but there's opportunity to be among the leaders of that. And the accumulation of those resources now is going to be more powerful, more meaningful than later for a couple of reasons. One, you quietly accumulate it now when no one's paying attention. You get a head start that they later have to catch up on. That's point, I guess, section one of this sub point. And then the second part of why it's really cool now as opposed to later on is we've already heard from Matt within the, I think it was the last town hall in December, November. He talked about how it's going to be more and more complicated to earn research in the future. You're going to need specific buildings. You're going to need certain upgrades. You're going to need certain storage facilities. All of that is going to make it more and more difficult. I could pull up the part of the white paper because they do talk to this. But suffice it to say, it's going to be more complicated, more onerous, more barriers, more impediments to really stacking these resources that I think we are currently doubting or disbelieving or feeling they have no value. So we get people, and this is not a slight, but we get people like Aftersound who are very pragmatic. That's the word I would use. Aftersound is pragmatic. He looks at Splinterlands and he tries to truly measure, what's happening, what's going to happen. And he says it himself. Papa Bear comes out and he makes these comments about, land. Why would you start a plot of land today? That's what he said in that video, among other things. And I go, because it's bigger than what you're pointing to. You're pointing to just SPS and you're saying, look, if you want SPS, buy it. Sure, I agree. But I'm saying there's a bigger picture to it. One, in part you want the land because you believe in land. And in another part of that is you don't know when land's going to pop off. So you want to position yourself before then. And then also it's not just about SPS. This idea that you're going to hold up, look, $100 would get you 3,000 SPS or $100 is going to get you one plot of land, which produces almost no SPS. Yeah, okay, but that's not the only metric. Presumably, people are taking research seriously. Presumably, some of the players who are already in here that have activated 20% of these plots of land recognize the future significance of research tokens. I don't know what that means. I can't hold up a price value. I can't say to you, you're wrong because research is worth X, Y, and Z US dollars, right? I can't. That's not possible. And so if you need dollars and cents, my argument cannot outweigh Aftersound's. But I'm speaking speculatively and I'm pointing toward a certain degree of confidence for the future that I think many of you who are watching this video will share. And so I ask to those who are interested, to those who believe that Splinterlands is going to be here in 5-10 years, that land's going to really get past land 2.0 and beyond, that some of the predictions and future development for SPS tokens, vouchers for the price on, the appreciation that we've speculated might be possible for the tokens within this game, I think you start to, it becomes this fuller picture for why activation of land might make sense now. If it's just a speculative question around SPS, he's right. Go buy the token. But if it's a bigger picture about what you think land might become and your uncertainty about when that switch might turn, and you don't want to miss the boat. And also it's not just about SPS, but maybe it's also about getting your building set up before others do. Maybe it's also about getting research. Maybe it's also about, building community within and supporting the ecosystem, which to some extent you take a little bit of an L sometimes because you actually want the game to sort of grab eyes, gain momentum, and grow. I think there's a broader picture here. I'm not saying he's wrong. I'm just saying there's other angles to consider. Again, Aftersound, if you see this, buddy, appreciate everything you do. Love your content. Love to see what you say about this one. Have an amazing day, guys. I'm going to leave it there. God bless.